Well, welcome back to Midwest eSports Formula One. We're covering Division 1 of the racing action today, taking place in Saudi Arabia. Last week we had a race in Montreal. That was one to watch with different weather and lots of action happening. And I can't wait to see what happens today.
Well, I can't wait to see what happens in the next couple of seconds, because following the Canadian Grand Prix, we had some conversations in the live chat about the proper attire. Fernando Alonso understands the mission. A lot of Canadians understand the mission. It was a Canadian tux was what was expected from everyone at last week's Grand Prix. So we all made the unanimous decision to wear jorts. I believe all of the drivers are also wearing a pair of jean shorts tonight. But Mitch and I came prepared, ladies and gents. So I don't want to hear any excuses. We are in it. We are not in Canada this week, like Mitch said. We are in Saudi Arabia, which I'm pretty sure jorts are illegal, but we're just going to skim past that. We are in Jeddah. This is the second longest circuit in the F1 calendar for Midwest racing, and it is sure to be just an absolute spectacle on the Red Sea tonight.
Yeah, this one is really fun to race, especially with the updates that we got in the new Formula 1 23 with the new traction. Street circuits are a bit more tolerable, and Saudi Arabia is a little bit more fun to drive. It is longer, so we will have 25 laps tonight. Of course, we're going to do a qualification, and the drivers did agree to do a formation lap too. That's going to be fun to watch.
That seemed like, I forget who was the person who brought it up in the chat, but it was almost immediately after last week's race. Someone reached out and said, we should really try a formation lap. I've done it in different leagues and it kind of works. Hopefully we don't see any accidents, any injuries during a formation lap. Mitch, I know you and I have a storied past with formation laps in our just casual races together. It never goes well most of the time for me.
Yeah, I don't know what's about it. It's just maybe the AI, maybe I don't like trying to walk in a single file line. That's hard. I mean, they teach you that in kindergarten and then they don't teach it to you again. That's it.
We're a bit out of practice.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see what happens with these guys. Also interested, to see what happens with all of the teams out here too, because the action has been heating up and last week was no different.
Yes. Yeah. Let's run through the top 10 of the podium last week, or the grid last week. We did have some movement after stewards reviewed, but that will come later on in the order here. So leading the race last week, first place remains the same. Race day started pole position, finished in first, followed by Scarenzi, started fourth, ended second, clawed his way up on a track that we heard about. He absolutely hates Montreal, but he found it in him to, during the wet, on top of dry, we had some rain at the back part of the race, and it did not affect Scarenzi's race one bit. Threw on those inters and made his presence known. Third place went to Aero Racing in that Alpine, started second, finished third, and then GSR Edwin in fourth, got Palmer fifth, Callie Robb sixth, Scavney in seventh, and then Lancy in the Red Bull finished P8, but after a self-reported penalty was moved down to P10. So following that, we do have Nikki 6-4 and Fireballer now in 8th and 9th respectively, and Lancy in 10th. So very interesting on the spread there, but those top 6 drivers, I mean, that pack right there is the one to watch. That's where all the speed is. Those drivers are not messing around.
Yeah, and after the race last weekend in the Drivers' Championship, we have Scarenzi in first place with Aston Martin, then Aero Racing Design and Lancey in third, Houdini, Got Palmer, Race Day, Edwin, Fireballer, Posh Josh, and Gunner. And we also have the team standings up right now. So first, it is looking back to week 1, but we have had some changes go throughout the weeks. It's slowed down a little bit since the beginning of the season, but I think that's because the points are getting closer and closer every single time they're out there. I think last week, Aston only had 1 racer, so it was harder for them to get a lot of team points, but they started off the season very well, still in first place from week 4. We actually had almost all of the A teams, Aston, Alpine, AlphaTauri, and Alfa Romeo up by the top. And then the French guys, Alpine, moving up into first position and held on to it for quite a while. This is where we start to saw Aston Martin slip down the board. Haas jumped over them. AlphaTauri jumped over them. Going into week 8, we saw Red Bull Racing jump over Aston Martin and Ferrari jump over McLaren. And after Montreal, Red Bull Racing has now moved into third place, Haas into fourth, and Ferrari jumping over McLaren into sixth place.
Yeah, the swap between Red Bull Racing and Haas was an interesting one there, especially with Red Bull Racing only running. Well, no, I apologize. They ran 2 cars last week with a substitution in the second. But yeah, very interesting to see Red Bull come back into the mix there. But Alpine and AlphaTauri, they are definitely up there on the leaderboard. At this point in the season, do you really think that we're going to see much motion on the top of that grid?
I think we still can. I mean, we have big points in Division 1. First place gets 100 points and 20th gets 43 points. So first and second is only 71 points difference. And then 47 points, then 30 points, and then 70 points. And then Aston Martin and Ferrari, look at that. Watch that today, because that's only 8 points of a difference. And then there's a bit of a drop off to McLaren, to Alfa Romeo, and Williams and Mercedes are still battling down in 9th and 10th place. So you could still see a lot of movement, I would expect, in 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and who knows, maybe Alpine can't hold on to first place much longer.
Tonight is going to be a special race as well. I believe we have all of our current Division 1 roster readied up for today's race. We're going to see the lineup right here as we take it to Jeddah. The lights are on and we are ready to get qualifying underway. 17 minutes remaining on the clock of this short qualifying. And yes, do we see 2 logos under each team? Just 1 Mercedes.
I think Mercedes is the only team racing with 1 today. So everyone else looking pretty good.
Yes, and like we always like to recap, this is a short qualifying session. So if you're familiar with the normal F1 layout, weekend layout, there are 3 qualifying sessions. We're only going to hit 1 today, so that 16-minute real-time clock is going to tick down, and that will be the start of the race following this single qualifying session. We're on board now with Mackie making it around their first outlap.
And this gives you a good look at just how windy this track is starting off in the first section. It is extremely tight. I mean, there's not a ton of room to pass, except for some of the straights towards the backside and then the finish line. Unless you want to get aggressive in the corner, but someone's getting aggressive and just going by Mackie. Doesn't care about warming up the tires nearly as much. Let's see who that was. Get the track map up here. So we also had an Alpine go past him too.
I wonder if this is a show of who is pre-gaming, who is running some time trials before they start the race this evening. Mackie looks like he's on a sighting lap right now, not trying to push the car, just get familiar with the track. Whereas we saw some of those, what was that? Hold on. It's very small on my screen. I can't read. We had some cars passing him while he was on his sighting lap. Holy crap, I need better glasses today.
See if we can make this a little bit bigger for you to read.
Oh, I think it's on my end.
That's all right. Looks like VTech is the man in Alfa Romeo who jumped past everyone to try and be the first one to come across the finish line and set his lap. So he will set the standard for qualifying at the start, and we'll see what happens. Almost all the drivers look like they're out on the track now warming up some of their tires. We'll probably see most of them go into the pits with a few minutes left to get some fresh ones and then hit that final lap.
we want to give a shout out once again to our stewards for Division 1 Formula One racing here at Midwest eSports. Thank you once again to our, I believe, the chairperson of the entire event series here, Pork Chops, along with Knuckles, and our head D1 steward, Hammer 383RS. Thank you very much to those three fine folks for continuing on after the checkered flag is waved to make sure these races are fair and accurate for the season. VTech now in Sector 3, setting some pace.
I think the word you were looking for is maybe commissioner?
Commissioner, there it is.
Chairperson's more of like a board of directors on a nonprofit organization.
Pork Chops is definitely not.
There we go, fastest lap. First lap set by VTech, but we will see who can come second. I know Mackie was just behind him in the finish line. VTech goes for the fastest.
VTech coming across the radio there before that lap saying, hopefully I'll make it through the first lap this race. A fastest lap is only as good as the race itself. And if you DNF again in the first lap of the race, well, then qualifying means absolutely nothing.
And yeah, if you DNF during qualifying, then you don't get to set a faster time. You're going to be starting at the back. Aero Racing Design setting the fastest lap, though, with a 1:26.977. Sure, we'll see a bit more improvement of that as we continue.
Definitely, yeah. These are still sighting laps. These are still early in the session here. Towards the 8, 7, 6 minute marks, we're going to start seeing some fast times. If anyone is in the chat who has some info as to fastest laps, expected laps, but also, if Mitch, I don't know if you have the history book pulled up. If you have the fastest lap in Midwest racing history.
Here we go. I found it. Again, this could be a bit different because physics change year to year over the game. So circuits like this, street circuits, if the grip's better, we might see faster times. Lancey jumping up into 5th. I wanted to wait for him first. Saudi Arabia, the record for Division 1 is a 1:28.837 by GSR Ryan Rods. That would have been a race time too, so we will see. Those are typically a bit slower than qualifying by a couple seconds. But with the physics changes, maybe we'll see a new record. I hope to see one.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in qualifying here to see if anyone can get closer to that 125 mark. They're floating around, a little late in the 126s there, 126.8, our current pace leader. Race day up in first. We have a caution in Sector 3, now in 2 and 3. All of this seems pretty much par for the course for a qualifying session, cars starting and stopping. But again, you DNF here, and you are starting in the back of the pack, which I guess for a street circuit like Jeddah may not be the worst if you're not looking for a podium spot and you're just looking to finish mid-pack in the points. Starting last may not be the worst, or close to last may not be the worst, because you have less traffic around you as you navigate these very hairy first couple of laps here.
It's not the worst place to be, you're right. In my league race, we were doing Bathurst, which is a very tight mountain track. And I started in 5th, but slipped back to 8th. But as I raced, I could just slowly watch person in 7th go off track, person in 5th go off track, person in 4th go off track, and waited for those moments or those areas to start pushing the person in front of me, try and make them to make a mistake, and then I could slip by. So really just try to play it safe and then move up from there.
Yeah, it's definitely...
Like VTech too may have had an accident out there on the course.
Oh, it's definitely a long play to take that approach, try and just maintain in the middle of the pack. And you are, waiting for those yellow flags. You're waiting for those slight runoffs to capitalize on those moments. But it's anyone's guess as to who will be having to fight that fight here in just a few minutes' time as we get ready for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. You said VTech ran off. Looks like he's out for the session.
I'm hoping it was just, a run off the track and not a disconnect from the session. Looks like Posh Josh also jumps up now. He's in 5th place after setting a good qualifying time.
And now's a good time as any to mention that Mitch and I have been doing some work. Well, let's not paint a false picture. Mitch has been doing some work behind the scenes on the stream. So if anybody, if they subscribe or they donate, what are the triggers? Something fun.
Anything,
will
a
happen.
subscriber, a membership, a donation, or super chat. I don't know which ones are YouTube and which ones aren't. Something should pop up on the screen. I know subscriber does. You could probably test it, but that's not nearly as fun. I know someone out there who's watching probably hasn't subscribed just yet.
Yes, so if you have yet to subscribe to Nick and Mitch, please do that so we can try out our new gadgets. Thank you very much, Valentine, for shouting out the graphics. We want to thank all of our YouTube members here on Nick and Mitch, Bone Crusher 2D, Coach 34, Mitch's mom, along with our co-producers, Kill a Vapor and Captain Snowbeard, and our fans and Fans Plus for those monthly donations to the channel to make sure that we have graphics like this for these events.
That goes directly into, making our cool transitions, our music, and apparently our jorts budget, because I had to make these 5 minutes before we started. Did not have time to go to Goodwill and pick up a spare pair of jeans, so I found ones that didn't fit nearly as well as they used to, and said, you know what, let's make some jorts.
That's a tax write-off, right?
Yeah. I guess, at this point.
Race day still sitting pretty up in top of this race with a 126.884. This will be the second race that Race Day pulls, and if he's able to hold that time right now, it's looking like that's a hard time to beat. We haven't seen a fastest lap set by Scarenzi yet. Aero Racing still out there clawing, but yeah, that is quite the pace that Race Day has set for the rest of the grid.
Looks like we got a little bit of a wall strike, too, from Scavney, if that wasn't just a glitch on the screen, but he still improves going up into 8th. We also hearing from Valentine that these times are in minimal fuel and soft tires, so they'll need to pit 4 to 5 laps left. They want to truly try breaking the new lap record. Yes, that it will be tricky to break those records. Something I'm not nearly as good at calculating in my head, those fuel and the tire and when to push and when to not. I somehow do set a lot of my best times with really worn tires, and probably because the fuel's also, the car's a lot lighter and just warming up to the track personally.
Right. Yeah, I don't understand. It doesn't seem like degradation has any effect on you ever. And as a competitor that goes up against you pretty much weekly, I hate it. I can't stand it. We have a little bit of wobble there from Electric Blade coming out of the chicane.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing at this point. In one of my races, I went 10 laps, and they were all like, everyone's tires have to be shot. And all the leaders, their tires were like at 5%. And then they skipped to me, and I was at like 50% on most of my tires. And they're like, what is he doing? He's keeping up with the pack. I don't know.
Pierre Gasly out there maintaining tire strength for the better part of the race. Bones, you just missed your shout out for the members shout out, but welcome to the chat again. We have just over 6 minutes remaining in Q1 and only, honestly.
I know the Q1
race day still sitting now. Talk too soon. God Palmer now sitting with a 126.862.
Wow, he's going fast.
Dang, the Williams is going fast.
That's all I can say. He is going fast. I'm expecting to see Scarenzi at some point set a fast lap too. GSR Edwin, though, the Mercedes, the solo Mercedes in the race, going fastest lap now. Scarenzi improving on his time a bit. I don't think enough at this point to jump into first place, but we'll see coming into the final straight if he is able to snatch a better position for himself to start this race.
The lone Mercedes, one of 2 silver arrows.
Ooh, and he moves up into 4th place. It also gets a 126.925. So about 0.3 of a second off of GSR Edwin. He's holding first place right now by 0.2 of a second, which is a pretty impressive margin.
I was just going to say that. Like, holy crap, the lone Mercedes able to put 0.2 on the rest of the pack. You wonder if that was just an outright bomb track of a lap, or if, we're going to start to see some other times creep up. Was GSR the first one to push that line that hard?
We're also going to see if Got Palmer can improve on that time. You can hear his engines just screaming in that Williams car. It might be that massive Duracell battery they have on the top. Might be some illegal energy harvesting, I want to say.
Hey, we're just going to look the other way on that one.
Yeah, looks like he's going to go into the pits, though. I think he wants to hide what he's got up on top of that car.
Well, talking about being loud and proud here, these two Haas cars have been putting on a show in the back half of this season, at least since you and I have started calling these races. There seems to be something in the water over there at Haas. We saw their climb in the championship points, taking a slight dip down to fourth as Red Bull Racing nudged their way onto the podium. But Haas is not one to be counted out for the rest of this race as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fun to watch them and, really start to get those leaderboards up top. I am hoping to see one of these races where both Aston Martins and both Haas cars finish the race up in the top of the podium, because it seems with our luck, either they don't have both racing, or one, gets in some little bit of car damage trouble, or they knock each other out of a race and really hurt the points. So I think those teams have a lot more to fight for left in the season.
Absolutely. Well, still fighting with just under 4 minutes to go now in Q1 in only. Race day was able to take the pace at a 126.5. Again, shaving another 10th off of this time. We're slowly creeping down the times, and it's getting tense here.
Yeah, we're now getting into time where most of these drivers are in the pits, getting on a fresh pair of soft tires to set their final times. So this one will be exciting to watch. Also, if you look at the chat, Kuno Going Dark just joined in and said, long time no see. It has been probably since one of our last Riders Republic video edit competitions that we have seen him. So welcome back.
Honestly, welcome back. We have some team radio action going on here. Aero Racing shouting out, calling race day out for cutting track to get into the pits faster, calling that an illegal move here in qualifying. For the current pole sitter. We'll see what the stewards have to say about that, if anything, but it's kind of hard to call back a qualifying penalty once the race has begun, right? Once the race starts, whatever race day starts in is where he starts the race, unless they do assess some lap penalties. Not sure how that is going to work. Pork Chops saying report away, let it be known. We'll see what happens. That will be very interesting. That'll be a first for the both of us to see how they handle a qualifying penalty following the race.
Definitely some drama going on. We'll see what happens. We do have race day currently in first place too. But everyone's moving out on their out laps. Is anyone on a flying lap yet? Houdini may have just started in McLaren. Electric Blade also looks like he hasn't. He's improving his time a little bit. Where he is right now, he does stand to move up probably in the 13th place if he can close this one out. 13th place.
Boom. Wow, look at that call with the fist in the air. Be proud of that. That was incredible.
Lucky guess.
No. Cut that out.
Houdini's also out there too.
Houdini does have a chance if he's able to push, get another 10th. Could pass VTech, who has only lost one position since DNFing through qualifying here.
Yeah, it seems like we do have a bit of people bunched up around the 128 and then around like the 127, 126 split. And then, of course, we got some outliers on the other sides. We do have some cautions out there, too. I think a car was almost at a complete stop based on the mini-map.
Yeah, this
moving again, though.
This race, if you have not seen a track map of Jeddah, it basically looks like, honestly, I don't know. It looks like a butter knife, like a steak knife, with the amount of corners we have there in the first straight. It is a very interesting track, a very unique track, but there are a lot of corners, 27 to be exact, that are going to allow for this pack to bunch up a lot if they're unable to spread out in the first couple of laps.
There you go. GSR Edwin looks like out. I thought he improved his time, but he wasn't across the finish line yet. Most of these guys are just starting off their laps. Is anyone getting close to the end?
Interested to see in the chat if anyone is live commenting here. Would you take Jeddah over Monaco? I mean, I know both tracks are death in the walls, or better yet, we could even say Baku over Jeddah. If you were to rate those three, Monaco, Jeddah, and Baku, what is the worst of the bunch there? For me, definitely Monaco, followed by Jeddah. I really do enjoy Baku.
I do too. I also like this one when I'm driving NLR Mackie. It's moved up into 6 and looks like that is his finish. Who else is coming across the line right now? Looks like Aero Racing Design. It's going to move up into 3rd.
Wow. What a
And
push
Scarenzi
there,
moving up into 4th. So now we're seeing the Aston Martin start to climb up the board.
No surprise there.
Whoa!
We have a spin from the Haas here in the final stages. Ferrari just able to avoid him.
Oh, no.
Oh, but we have
Ooh.
damage. Race day is officially out of the session as his front wing and front left tire was blown off by a Williams. That was absolutely brutal. Hopefully that other car is okay. No, looks like he's losing. He may be missing some of his front wing.
Got Palmer. He's missing. Can you tell from the onboard? Not quite, but...
Oh. Doesn't look like he's missing any of the fin, but that may not... Visually, that may not tell the whole story. The computer may be showing us damage that... showing no damage where damage actually is present. Not sure. Definitely pitting to readjust. But that is going to do it for some of these drivers. Unfortunate collision there in the end of Sector 3.
Yeah, that might end it for Got Palmer with the time remaining. We're also hearing the drivers, Callie Rupp saying, oh my God, saw my life flash before my eyes. Just barely missing race day. And then as race day starts to get those wheels turning to try and straighten out, Got Palmer comes through and just clips him with the car. Race day saying, good old Jeddah. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a blind corner. There's nowhere to pull off the track. And he was basically 180 in the middle. Just crazy.
Yeah,
my mom saying, I'll take Monaco for the yachts and the scenery. Absolutely.
I don't think
even visit there.
I don't think your mom has ever sat on your racing rig and taken a spin around the Monaco track.
She said she wants to try the rig. Monaco might not be the best one for a first-time driver to try and attempt in VR. I think that would end up with, a mess. I'll leave it at that.
Honestly, your mom would whoop both of our butts if she had some time on the rig. There is your grid for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Midwest eSports Racing, Formula One Division 1 on Nick and Mitch. Coming up next is race action from the Red Sea. Overlooking the breathtaking Red Sea, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix returns in Week 10. The second longest circuit on the calendar will undoubtedly lead to some white-knuckle moments here tonight. Now, don't get me wrong, Montreal was no cakewalk for these drivers, but Jeddah, guys, this is a surgeon's lap. These 27 turns will push both man and machine to the limit, and with a dry forecast ahead of us tonight, tire wear will certainly be a main focal point at the later stages of the race. As Alpine and AlphaTauri continue their dominance in the points, Scarenzi has been putting on absolute clinics in the Street Series. Folks, DVR the football game, because we're going racing in Jeddah. This is Midwest eSports Formula One Division 1 on Nick and Mitch.
Just perfectly timed with the music there too, where it was cutting off. Just fantastic opening speeches for you as always, and I cannot wait to get this race started in nighttime or at nighttime in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. We also are doing a formation lap. I was going to say formulation lap with Formula One. Formation lap. They have not done it previously in Midwest eSports for Formula 123 because sometimes it can lead to issues with the lobby with it desyncing or someone dropping out, or if something major happens. All the drivers, or most of the drivers, are willing to try it though to see if they can do it, because it looks great when you nail that formation lap. And I know some of them love that feeling of pulling up into the box, trying to set the car just right, and then having the countdown timers.
I was going to say, we have just about a 200-meter sprint from the starting grid to the first corner. So some of these drivers may want to take a bit of an angle as they enter these grid formations. It'll be interesting to see those setups as we go here. It'll also be easier for us so we can actually have an official red light call to start the race. Apologies in the intro said 24 laps. I don't know which 3 I decided to cut out, but maybe we'll figure that out later in the race. Wherever seems to be the big issues, the bunch ups, the spins. Maybe we can just get rid of those for next season. And Valentine, thank you very much for letting us know. Yes, we did recycle some of the information on the live stream. We were out. We had a little bit of life to carry on before tonight's stream. Didn't have as much setup time.
That's all right. I already fixed it. So thank you, Valentine, for pointing it out. I was on top of it as I let Nick ramble.
Hey, Valentine, go refresh. I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy.
No one saw that. How many times have we done that? We don't edit the videos after we post them either.
That's how we do it here at Nick and Mitch.
I'm hoping we do get to watch the formation lap. I haven't actually spectated a race where we've had one. We do see a lot of fans clapping, sitting below the box, so we just see some hands. And, of course, the race engineers getting ready for those cars to come out of the pit lane.
This is also, I believe, our first night race to be
It
called.
is.
It is nighttime on the East Coast. When I look out, I see nothing but the black night sky. But looking back at the screen and seeing darkness is kind of nice. It feels like we're there almost.
See a lot of drivers in the driver chat too. Race day apologizing to everyone, and then Callie Robb saying, "Where's my sorry?" And then Race day saying sorry as well, and he's saying, "Okay, nice, thank you."
We love it. We love the camaraderie here. We are off on our formation lap. God help all of these drivers. Keep it clean. Get some distance between you. No one's racing yet. Yeah, my issue here is I always want to push the car to warm those tires up. Just get everything under my seat, like we see the Mercedes of Edwin there. But I always push a little too hard and usually end up tanking my front wing into Mitch's rear bumper, which just throws you back on the grid. You do not get the perk of setting up your own grid start strategy.
Yeah, hey, it happens sometimes.
That's racing.
I also see Valentine saying a cool thing the league does at Monaco is race at night instead of the day. That we need to see. I believe they already did Monaco, so we'll have to wait until next season. But that is something spectacular.
The tunnel with the lights on? Come on now. I think they're onto something here.
They're also starting to put in their race predictions. Preston Reed saying Houdini is going to win the race starting in 17th. But you know what? We have seen weirder things both in real life and the league. And Valentine saying he thinks Day will crash out about lap 20. That's a bit of a foreshadowing or a threat almost.
Oh, yeah, I don't like that whatsoever. I don't like that we said that on our stream. Commentators' curse can come back and bite us. We relegated to the go-kart league.
We also have Gunny Guns passing through saying, "Hello, Nick and Mitch. Just passing by. Hope you have all spend a great day and night." We hope you do too. I think Gunny, not Europe, is Gunny the one from...
Gunny, send us your address in the comments. No, cheers, Gunny. Thanks for popping in.
No, I know we have someone from like Australia or New Zealand that's in a really weird time zone for most of our streams. Hard to watch. Here we go.
Drivers getting their final tire warm-ups prepped as we get ready to line up. Jeez, oh man, we see some big movement from Aero Racing Design once those things gummy heading into turn one. This is first pole position will start on the right on this grid. I believe the last few weeks we were starting on the left, so we'll see how that plays into strategy coming into the first corner. Is a left-hand turn, so they're going to have the outside of that first turn one, but it's a chicane, so we may see some quick swaps here. All the drivers are ready. We are lighting up and we are ready to go. Lights are out and we are racing in Jeddah. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix Midwest eSports Division 1 Formula 1 is underway.
And the first turn's always a tight one, but Race Day and GSR Edwin holding strong, and Edwin actually taking the early lead and getting into first place. Scarenzi making a jump over Aero Racing into third. Callie Rob and Lancey just going back and forth several times, and the same thing with Houdini and Ray Ray down below. All clean so far, though, which is very impressive for this first bit of track because it is just absolute winding back and forth.
Very, yeah, as we headed into that first chicane, double wide in first and second and third and fourth, made that track almost too small for these drivers, but they were able to get through cleanly. And now we see some distance building. We are off to the races. These cars are going to be pushing at around 79% of their full throttle tonight.
And this is where it is great to watch because you can just see how close these cars are. In most circuits, you do have some straightaways where you can see everyone in front of you and make some predictions. But here, every time you round a corner, you see 5 cars and then you see 1 car, and then you see 6 cars and then you see 1 car.
Cheeky overtake on Posh Josh there for Maki. Looked like he may have been close to a slight tire bump there through the overtake, but able to keep that clean.
Ooh, and looks like Callie Rob and Posh Josh making some moves. Callie Rob is just popping around the outside, but does have to settle back in. We got a 3-way race here. Look at how close these 3 are. Lancey going for a pass on the outside. He's able to get in front of Callie Rob, but can he hold it exiting the corner? Just. Wow. I think we're both just speechless from watching some of these overtakes so far because we've raced this track and we know how many times we put it into the wall, especially when we try to pass each other.
Looks like Maki, yes, Maki was able to make a move on Gott Palmer there, was closing in to take 5th place. Maki slowly creeping his way up here. We may very well see both of those Astons up on top of the points here like you were predicting before today's race.
I know we also have Haas in 2nd and 7th place. Mackey's going to look to do an overtake again, get back at Palmer for moving up on him. And after this lap, I believe we will have DRS, so things will start to change out here.
Oh, yeah. Posh Josh not letting that position go to Maki, keeping it very, very close. And that will be an interesting race to keep an eye on as, like you said, we hit DRS in the coming laps. Posh Josh does not want to relinquish those spots, nor do any of the drivers, but this race is definitely close. Maki trying to make another pass, does it so on Gott Palmer. That is the 2nd time this lap. Maki seems to have Gott Palmer's number in these corners.
Yes, just gets around him on the outside, but now Gott Palmer is going to look to go on the outside going into turn 1 and 2, and then he switches back into the inside. But good defense for Mackey to keep that option away from him.
Down below in the pack, Helgs was able to overtake Ray Ray for 17th place. Now both of the McLarens once again sitting 16th and 17th stacked up on the grid.
We also have GSR Edwin putting a big gap out on the field. It's 2.5 seconds up on Scarenzi. Scarenzi about to lose view of him except for these massive straightaways. However, Race Day Aero Racing are closing in on him, but 0.5 second and 0.3 of a second gaps between them.
Let's take a look at the tires that everyone decided to start today's race on. We can see Race Day's Haas sporting the hards for the start of this race. Seems to be one of only 2 on the track who chose that strategy today.
And I think that's why we see Edwin starting to slip away from the pack. He's on soft tires right now. Scarenzi is starting to close the gap. Edwin's going to try and hopefully build a bit of a lead, but it looks like Race Day's making a move on the outside of Scarenzi in the sweeping left corner, about 3 of them in a row. Easily gets past him, but will Scarenzi be able to take it back? Going into the final straight, he has been good here, overtaking some of our other drivers before.
Good. He has been downright dirty. That was a very surprising overtake. Now, both of these drivers, here he goes again with DRS. Scarenzi retaking 2nd place on his hunt to find the silver arrow of GSR Edwin. Scarenzi is an absolute doctor, a surgeon on these street courses. I know Montreal was one of his least favorite, but he put on a clinic and showed us all what it takes to just, get down and rip it for a decent finish.
Yeah, I wonder if he also doesn't like this track because he did great last week in Montreal for not liking that track. This one's also a little bit similar with these kind of tighter walls and some sweeping turns.
Look how tight this pack is in the mid. This is amazing seeing how many cars are so close in this race. Anything can happen, and on a course as windy as this, you just have to think at the back of your head, God, please do not anyone spin out, make a mistake, because there is not a lot of room for error, especially on these very, very narrow turns.
Yeah, it's one of the only downsides on a track like this. If you spin, people behind you aren't going to see it until they come around the corner. And by that point, it's too late. And then if you have a second car go out, that's the whole track clogged up. And with all these racers tight, I mean, look at this. Mackey sneaking on the inside of Gott. Palmer and Aero Racing Design. Looks like Aero takes it back just for now, but they're going to go wheel to wheel. And Mackey's going to have the inside. We have the other Aston Martin. Looks like Scarenzi and Mackey. Look at this. Just bullying that Alpine.
We saw Edwin at the beginning
and they both
of this
slipped
race.
by.
We saw Edwin at the beginning of this race take that inside line. It seemed to be a fast one, so it was anyone's guess there. But yeah, Aero Racing able to hold him out.
Now we've got some interesting moves. We have both Astons, both.
We have Aero Racing Design is off track, has rejoined the pack, but there was a little bit of a scuffle there. I wasn't sure if there was a collision. Aero Racing seems to be having some sort of issues, and a safety car has been issued. I'm guessing that there was damage on a collision, but thankfully it looks like Aero will be able to pit this lap and get whatever that was adjusted. This is also a huge godsend for Edwin on those softs, only able to get about 7 to 8 laps in Jeddah on those soft compounds. So lap 5 seems to be the optimal time. Would make sense for the Mercedes to pit now for what, mediums, or do you go midsection with the hards and continue to push for first?
I don't know. It's a little tricky. I mean, I guess there's only 25 laps. Do we have many drivers on hards? I think there was only 1 or 2. Race day, Fireballer, the only 2. Race day could stay out.
Mm-hmm.
So if GSR Edwin goes in, he's going to lose a lot of time to race day. The medium drivers, I don't know. They might be able to stay out. Like, if GSR Edwin goes in, here, see it. Top 4. Looks like Mackey's going to stay out. The first Brave Soul, Palmer.
Oh, we have a few that are popping in now.
Also, Aero Racing stays out on his mediums.
Race Day decided to pop in for those hards. Let's see if he's adjusting something else, maybe addressing some possible damage, or if he's going to be swapping compounds. This is very interesting. Yeah, Race Day going to mediums there. Interesting strategy to throw the hards away after the first couple of laps. Maybe just after seeing the pace and getting a feel for the track, these drivers are making their changes. See that mid-pack all going to hards, trying to stick this out, as we may be seeing many more safety cars throughout this race. It's only lap 6, and again, this track narrows so much once one car goes off. Thankfully, Aero Racing was able to find one of those runoffs on the side of that turn that we just passed with Mackey. Was able to safely exit and re-enter the track.
Yeah, I mean, what we had, those 5 drivers, I believe, stay out. Mackey, Aero Racing, Cali Rob, VTEC, and GSR Edwin. Edwin went in.
Yes. But that 2-second lead did wonders for that pit stop.
Those 4 drivers, yes, and now GSR Edwin's caught back up to the pack, so only losing 4 positions, which isn't bad. Same with the rest of the pack. So it will be interesting to see who can stay out. Like how long Mackey, Aero Racing, Cali Rob, they're gonna have to pit. They have to pit. They have to do one swap. Not sure if they can take the hards the rest of this race or not.
Well, this will definitely be a feel-good restart for the Aston Martin of Mackey, riding, some older mediums, but now sitting in first place. It was back and forth fighting with Aero Racing and Gott Palmer for that entire first stint there. It'll be awesome to see Mackey fight and try and maintain a lead over a car that he was just racing with, Aero Racing Design.
Yes, and currently can see some of the position changes. A lot of that's not going to matter with the pit stop. VTech making one of the biggest jumps. However, he is on soft tires, so he will for sure have to pit. Looks like someone else went in now. VTech. He's going to go in, and that's going to cost him because now he will be down at the back of the pack.
Well, hey, at the very least, this is still a victory for VTech, as last week in Montreal, he was made contact in the first lap. I mean, not even halfway through the first lap, and was DNF'd from the removed from the race. So VTech now sitting in 19th place, but will be able to complete this race. His race fate is in his hands at this point.
Yeah, he still has a good chance to, overtake some places too. Anything can happen. Currently, we do have the fastest lap, GSR Edwin at a 1:31.0. I believe that course record was a 1:28, so maybe we will not see that broken unless we have some soft tires at the very end with those later fuel loads. 3 seconds is pretty big gap to make up.
I mean, take a look at Maki's fastest time, though. Only, what, 100th down?
Yeah.
Ooh. Unreal.
That is the second closest time in... Maybe Posh Josh has the third. I believe Posh Josh, yeah. Or no, got Palmer, then Posh Josh, then Lancey with the next fastest times.
There's a reason I went to school for music and not math.
I could have just made those could be wrong. I just said it more confidently.
Yeah, there you go.
That's the way
it's
you
all
do
the
it.
Inflection, yeah.
Yeah. Everyone watching doesn't have time to read all of those numbers and tell me whether I'm wrong or not.
We are it's out of character for this field to not be messaging one another in chat under a safety flag.
Well, look at that safety car takeoff.
They are gone, and now it is up to Maki to start setting this pace. I'm sure everyone saw the funny meme last week of Max Verstappen under safety, just absolutely flooring it after the safety car is in. We'll see how Maki handles this as we cross the line, but you see Aero Racing once again, much like the grid start, getting those tires warmed up, trying to get some heat, some grip into those mediums as we are under green, preparing to be under racing once again here in Jeddah. And there goes Maki on the back straight.
He's going to take off and see what kind of lead he can get right now on Aero Racing design. Everyone else, though, very, very close. Aero's sneaking on the inside, gets that slipstream. Maki able to fight him off. This corner is not one you want to really get aggressive on because this next straight's also important.
No, that was terrifying. You saw how cheeky Aero's maybe. Nah, I'll let him go for one. That could have been very bad and ominous that Valentine's last comment was saying, if we see, a little bit of slide there from Maki, that is going to bleed a lot of pace. Aero Racing now on his tail. Is he able to overtake him in the long straight? He is. As we head into the corner, Maki is going to retake. It is a full-on dogfight. First, second, and third. GSR Edwin back in third place. Not counted out yet. Both of these drivers are within a tenth of one another. Aero Racing trying again. This is bobbing and weaving right here. This is scary stuff. Callie Robb, maybe a bit of a slide there in the corner, but these front runners are putting on a show.
Yes, it looks like Callie Robb and some of the other racers, maybe Scarenzi, were getting into a 2 or 3 wide situation, and one of them gets pushed out. Now we have a great view. GSR Edwin, when I'm in his position, it looks like he's going to try and make a move too. I was about to say, when I'm in that position, I wait until both of them are fighting and then try to overtake both at once, but we're going to go about 3 wide, and he's going to get pushed a bit to the outside. Looks like Maki kind of dives through, maybe clips Race Day or Aero Racing a little bit. And now look at this, GSR Edwin just slipping down. Had to avoid the collision that was about to happen with everyone. And now he finds himself with 5 drivers in front of him.
Maki driving like an absolute madman right now. Scarenzi now in third. Could we see an Aston Martin dominated podium here in Saudi Arabia? This is as interesting as it gets. Lap 9 and the tensions are already building. We have a lot of movement in the middle of the pack. Lancey able to overtake Edwin. Edwin still dropping down through this pack. Lancey is on a mission.
Got Palmer's down now and he's spun out.
Oh no, Gott Palmer had pace too. That was a wonderful restart for the Williams. Yeah, we are turned and we are under caution. Hopefully we can keep the safety car at bay. Got Palmer able to re-enter. Yeah, we're going to be just fine. Scary moment there, though, for the Williams.
We'll have to see if... Sounds like his car is warming up all right, and safety car is cleared, so we should be good. Very unfortunate for Got Palmer, though, and Ray and the other Williams, so now they're sitting in 18th and 19th.
We did see Electric Blade in the Alfa Romeo overtake to claim 9th place, but there appeared to have been a penalty, and I missed it. It popped up on the screen while I was in the middle of talking, and I completely cannot I don't know what I'm saying. I think I'm having a moment here. Mitch?
Let's look at this four-way race train we have between Electric Blade, Scavney, Posh Josh, and Lancey. They were all going into that final corner battling, and Electric Blade's going to look to try and make a move on the Ferrari in front of him, but Cali Robb, the other Ferrari, making a move behind him, so now he is in a bit of a sandwich. Cali Robb is 2 seconds behind there, so for now he has a little bit of wiggle room.
Cali Robb with those spidey senses today. Just want to call back to qualifying with the unexpected spin of... Whose car was that spun? Was it Aero Racing?
Race Day.
Yeah.
Aero Race Day.
Yes,
it was Race Day.
Aero Race Day. Spun, and the absolute carnal reflexes of Cali Robb to avoid that, and the Ferrari, tanking his chances at qualifying. Cali Robb is set up. During that restart, we saw Cali moving up the grid as well, now sitting 10th place. Looking down, both the Williams closing out the pack, both of the McLarens still stacked up 12th and 13th, and the Alpha Tauris 14th and 15th. It is a team party in the back of the pack.
That was what I was about to say just before the safety car came out, is we had both Astons together, both McLarens together, both Red Bulls together, and another team with both together, and then a safety car happened. So Aston gets to play a bit of the team strategy here, where Scarenzi can kind of keep everyone else occupied and let Mackie Race Day move up a little bit. Race Day still on, though, with those medium tires, setting a 1:30.852 for the fastest lap.
I'm sorry. Let's just say that one more time. A 1:30 has been set in today's race. Lap 11 on the mediums, I believe.
Yes, on the mediums, and we were saying that we didn't think we'd see the race record broken, but now I'm not so sure if we get some soft tires on a little bit later in this race.
Yeah, depending on how the safety cars play out, if we get a couple of extra pits, very, very possible that we can close this race out on some softs. Taking a look now at Aero Racing Design, bit squirrely through that corner, but keeping it tidy behind Posh Josh in the Haas.
Yes, these guys really haven't separated too much. Looks like GSR, Edwin, and Lancey is where we're starting to see a bit of a breakup in the pack out on the field, but for the most part, lots of less than 1 second gaps. This track does turn into a lot of DRS trains and slipstream trains, because there's a lot of turns, but there's not a lot of turns where you're braking heavily.
Yeah, we have some very close. Posh Josh up in 6th, keeping it close with Lancey's Red Bull.
I almost had a heart attack there. Aero Racing and Scavney going toe-to-toe throughout that corner.
Posh Josh now moving up into 5th place. We have VTech down in 15th, trying to get past Fireballers Alpha Tauri. Got very close there, but then widened that gap once again. Look at that train. So hard to maintain speed when you're racing that close to one another, especially on these straights, definitely exceeding 200 mile an hour. Those reaction times are cut in half as you see the Alfa Romeo VTech launching past Fireballer.
Yes, he was going for a break a little bit later, and he is going to move past Fireballer. They're just a bit braver on those brakes. Looks like Helgelin now is trying to make a move. I think my game was going a little bit funky, though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the game or not. Ray earlier on, I believe it was in the formation lap, was commenting that Helgs was all over, bouncing all over the place on the track. Not sure if that is a connection issue or if the McLaren is just riding like a bit intoxicated tonight. I'm not sure what the call is there.
May have just replaced all of their suspension rods with gum bands and said that'll be fine for this one. However, Posh Josh up in 6th place is closing in on Lancey. So Haas also looking to get back to the top of the leaderboard. And what did we say earlier? We wanted to see Aston and Haas at the top with both of their drivers, and they're slowly working their way up there.
We want to see an absolute dogfight. Houdini getting close to VTech there. We may be seeing some stuff mid-pack, but there goes Posh Josh once again, passing the Red Bull on the doorstep of GSR Edwin. He is still under DRS. Nope, never mind. He is absolutely not still under DRS.
Ooh, and look at this. GSR Edwin just trying to find a way past these two Aston Martins, but they're going toe-to-toe. They're taking up this whole track.
I wonder if this is something that they have rehearsed, that, once we are in this situation, here is what we do. They may be on team comms together. We're not sure, but this could definitely be a very cheeky team effort to keep this podium where it is now, defending like mad men. Not a solo operation here. This is a team push as GSR Edwin tries to break through the steel wall of Aston Martin.
This is just intense. I do hope they are talking together. I know the race team I'm on, we've done that where the person in last will just try to kind of hold up, but these guys are doing excellent at spreading just far enough apart whenever they're getting into those slow corners to make sure that GSR Edwin doesn't have much of a chance. And they're trading places too. It seems like you can see Edwin just kind of going left and right. It's like he's trying to look past the halo in front of him and he can't choose which direction to go.
Scott Palmer able to secure a fastest lap after earlier in this race, throwing a caution flag for spinning out on the track, able to re-enter, and now sitting in the purple. GSR Edwin trying to take the outside corner on the Aston Martins. Will he have it on the inside?
Oh, I think he might, but I think Scarenzi's going to be able to pick him back up. Maybe not.
Oh, there he goes. Scarenzi
Okay.
able to keep it clean, but GSR Edwin has broken the pack. I spoke too soon. This is still ongoing as we head back into turn 1 and 2.
Oh, now he's in front.
What is happening? GSR Edwin is on just this. This is the mission.
This is what you want to see in the real life racing. That was just an insane sequence of a whole lap with Edwin trying to get past both of the Aston Martins and then getting past one, slipping back, and now he's starting to take off away from them.
Yeah, building that lead once again. We saw GSR starting this race in second place, able to take first within the first lap and then build over a 2-second lead before DRS was activated. I just want to take another look. Race day has more than a commanding lead at almost 7 seconds faster than GSR Edwin.
Right, and that's kind of what happens when those guys have to start focusing on that battle. I think the other issue too, Edwin was on 8 laps on his medium, Scarenzi was on 8 laps on a harder compound, so he would be a touch slower, and Mackie stayed out through that safety car, so he was on 13 laps on the medium, reaching the end of the life. So both Astons had slightly less grip underneath them and finally gave way.
And what have we been calling for all day today? We wanted to see Aston, we wanted to see Haas, and just there, Maki on those 13-lap old mediums was overtaken by Posh Josh in the Haas. Now those two are going back and forth. This
and
is a fight.
Scarenzi's back up in second place now. I mean, look at this.
It doesn't get any better than this.
This is one of those races where race day, I'm sure, is listening and just laughing at what's going on behind him because he's smooth sailing right now by himself. I mean, look at the view. He's got no one in his rearview mirror. He's just out there driving the track, and then we have chaos behind him.
If I was race day at this point, I would mute all team comms and focus in on my drive. There's no need to be worried about what is going on behind you, almost 8 seconds behind you on this track.
I was
You
just
just have
looking
to
at
make sure you finish.
I know, I was just looking at the gap between the leader right now. I mean, of course, race day is 7.5 seconds out in front, but then from Scarenzi in second all the way through Aero Racing in 8th place, there's only 3 seconds separating those drivers.
This is insanely tightly packed this week. GSR Edwin still not giving up a fight with Scarenzi. Not quite time to overtake yet, but take a look at Aero Racing here. Also on a set of 14-lap old tires, but still putting pace on Scavney's Ferrari.
It's hard to tell where to jump. We have so many gaps that are under a half second. Looks like Posh Josh is closing in too. GSR Edwin's closing in. Gunner and Fireballer have gone back and forth now 3 times down in 14th and 15th place.
Yeah, this is all over, especially when you're producing and cutting and cutting to all of the different cars yourself while you're trying to commentate. It's interesting. It's a good problem to have this volatile of a race on our hands, though. The last few weeks, we have seen weather affect either the beginning or the end of the race, and no one wants to race on a wet ice rink of a track. But here in the desert, rain is very far off in the forecast, and we will have a clean, clear, dry race till the very end. Again, awaiting to see what the rest of this race holds as we approach well over the halfway mark now in the race. Will there be time for these front runners to get back in there, throw a few soft tires on their car, and start ripping these times up?
I think the medium tire lads will have to switch all of those on. Valentin saying VTech about to pass Sharia. Looks like that already happened.
Well, Valentine, would you like to come and produce this and give us the live stream feed?
I guess we are watching live. I think their comments are 20 or 30 seconds, depending on where they're watching. I don't know. There's so many overtakes happening. Tires, however, I think a lot of these medium folks will have to dip in at some point and swap those out. And that'll shake the leaderboard up quite a bit, although we will have one Haas and one Aston Martin able to stay out for probably the rest of the race.
Definitely. You know, you never want to play favorites as a commentator. We are here to give an equal call of the race for all of the drivers, but I'm going to be really sad to see Maki not in the top 5 here. It's only inevitable, running, I believe, 16 or 17 lap old tires at this point. Hasn't pitted yet this race. It's incredible that he is still able to maintain pace and putting pressure on Posh Josh as we speak. Just getting under half a second there. I mean, that is a testament to the drive as well.
Especially on a course like this, it's tough because you can't start to form gaps in the pack where even though you have some older tires, you may be battling one person, but you are breaking away. The two of you are breaking away from the rest behind you and building enough of a buffer to do that tire change. Here you really can. I mean, everyone's so close that everyone that has to pit is going to take a bit of a hit and have to slip down.
Scarenzi now capitalizing on those worn tires, overtaking his teammate Maki. And as we see Maki, that may be tire deg, there may be something else going on, but no surprise there as the Red Bull is now sitting in 5th over the Aston.
I think we are starting to see that too, because now Lancey is able to overtake Mackie on those old medium tires, and he is going to go into the pits, followed by Aero Racing Design,
who also was on their first pair of tires from those were the 2 last drivers who had been holding out on that pit stop. But with only a handful of laps to go, they're going to throw on softs, and they're going to try and make it to the end. Wow, that is a push.
That was Valentin saying 7 laps about before you start to really lose those top tires. They're gonna go right to those 7 laps, but they were losing the mediums and starting to slip. Looks like Fireballer got a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, so we'll see if the stewards uphold that one.
You hate to see it there. Yeah, those 2 softs out there. If anything, it would not be shocking to see Maki or Aero Racing go for a fastest lap here.
Oh, I'm sure anyone that's going to go on softs at this point is going to start to set those fastest. Curious to see how far they can claw up this pack, because they will have just absolutely crazy good tires on. But it's such... I was going to say, it seemed to be such a challenge to pass on this course, but we've seen a lot of passes and very few collisions.
I mean, difficult passes, though. These are not easy Sunday drive passes. These are, white knuckle, grip it through the corner and hope you come out the other side kind of overtakes. Been seeing a lot of back and forth and a ton of double wide challenges through a lot of the very difficult sections of this track. It has been nothing but exhilarating racing here from Jeddah. A fireballer getting yet another 3-second penalty on top of the pit lane speeding penalty, re-entered the track and got a corner cutting penalty as well. Not doing anything to help himself, down in 19th now.
Yes, looks like 8 seconds adding up there. Electric Blade had a 3-second penalty, I believe, for corner cutting earlier in the race.
That tracks.
But right now he does have an 11-second advantage over Houdini. That is where the split in the field is right now. Mackie, Aero Racing just below that. Cali Rob setting a fast this time. What's he doing on this?
Forza Cali Rob. Jeez.
Where is he?
Cali Rob down in 15th place on 5
hard tires?
Old hards. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Cali Rob had something in his sleeve, in his pocket tonight. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the qualifying position that he was looking for, but as we saw, those reflexes were on point. Maybe it's still the adrenaline from qualifying that is pushing Cali Rob through these final few laps of today's race, and now holding fastest lap from 15th. Wow.
Crazy. And here we go. Posh Josh going to make a move on the outside of Scarenzi. Aero Racing also jumping over Houdini. Mackie has also done the same, so now they are up into 10th and 11th. Mackie sitting 9.3 seconds behind Sharia Coleslaw. However, that gap is closing rapidly.
Scarenzi now able to overtake Posh Josh in that fight, as Posh was going in with Edwin. May have been a slight slip there. Scarenzi able to capitalize. But the story of Posh Josh, again, I apologize for I forget where he qualified, but I do know that he has absolutely clawed his way through this pack. Aero Racing on those soft tires, like we said, setting the next fastest with a 1:29.7. Showing pace mid-pack there. Let's see if Mackie has any response to that one.
They are closing in. I don't know if there's enough time for them to really get past VTech, because he's also sitting 6.5 seconds behind 6th position. That one's going to be tricky to overcome. Position change-wise, though, VTech so far sitting in the best position, moving 8 spots up from qualifying. Posh Josh moving up 3, Lancey, Scavney moving up 4. Electric Blade moving up 5, too. Both Alfa Romeos moving up.
Jeez.
Caution, safety car.
Oh, here we go. It's going to get interesting. It looks like I'm trying to look for stalled dots on the map. I don't see anyone just
It's like Helgeland's out.
Helgeland is out. Oh, that was more than likely a collision with the wall. Apologize, we don't have that camera angle to show you. But yeah, Helgs is out for today's race. Started a bit odd. It may have been connection issues. Ray again, and Williams saying that car was bouncing all over the place during the formation lap. And once we checked in about midway through today's race, we did see Helgs all over the track. So not sure if that was a technical issue or what had happened. Helgs has now left the session. Maybe it was a disconnect.
I don't know, but here's the thing to watch. Mackie and Aero Racing are coming through pit lane, not having to stop to change those tires. And they're not going to get out in 1st and 2nd, but they're going to come out in 4th and 5th.
You can't write this stuff. This is the chaos that Valentine has been predicting from the start of this race. With just 4 laps to go, we have all of the drivers, most of the drivers, switching to soft tires. This is going to be an absolute bomb track to the very end. Hold on to your seats. Grab another drink. We have 4 laps to go, but this is what this race is made of.
And that is where either strategy or pure luck reigns supreme, because those guys had a battle ahead of them. They were going to be clawing just to get back into 6th. And then we have Helgeland crashing out in the McLaren. And all of a sudden, they find themselves in 4th and 5th place. Mackie and Scarenzi and the Astons back in 3rd and 4th, so they can do their teamwork once again to try and hold off the rest of the pack.
We're going to call it what it is. That was pure luck. They were hoping that this was the scenario, and luckily the stars aligned for these 2 drivers. Aero, I believe, talking out of my butt a little bit. I believe Arrow still has the fastest lap at a 1:29. Yes. But now as we get closer, we're definitely not going to see Arrow being able to push for that fastest again, like you said, with the defense, the incredible defense of the Aston Martins ahead of him.
That I think I saw it. I'm not sure again if it was the game or not. I think GSR Edwin getting close to the pits. It looked like he wasn't sure what he was going to do. I don't know if it was him or Race Day or one of the others, but it looked like whoever was pulling into the pits wasn't sure if they wanted to do it because they weren't sure about that gap between Aero Racing and LR Mackie.
I get it. That is a split decision, and when the safety car was deployed, there was very little time to make that call. But I believe everyone made the right call. We're going to see. Still under safety here. Now 3 laps remaining. I don't believe we'll finish this race under yellow. We may have 2 laps to race. Valentine saying expect contact. Oh, that is ominous right there.
I will say my first, one of my YouTube recommendations to watch today was 10 times that the safety car finished first in a Formula One Grand Prix.
Yeah. That is a technicality that
hey, it's an Aston Martin. That's points, baby.
It's nothing that any racing fan wants to see. It is just a byproduct of the sport that we love. But yeah, we hope the Aston doesn't take the podium again from a 2-seater at least.
Yeah. Hey, that thing could be fast enough. Oh,
that was
a game giving us a bit more of a heart attack.
Yeah. Looked like Race Day said, nope, just decided to make out that wall.
Race Day, why don't you take out that safety car?
This isn't Talladega Nights. We're not gunning for Ricky Bobby here. As we do know, we can recap one of our stories. You and I were in a race. I believe it was just a one-on-one.
In the Netherlands.
It was in the Netherlands, yes. And maybe it was half-pack, 10 cars. Anyway, we were under a safety car. We had a pretty significant lead on the rest of the pack. And Mitch wanted to see what would happen if you just squeaked past, it kind of raced the safety car. Safety car in this lap, we are under racing momentarily. But as Mitch decided to overtake the safety car, he was immediately disqualified from the session. I mean, car was ripped from the heavens and plopped back in pit lane. And that was it for him. I ended up taking second that race, I believe.
All right, warm up your jorts, Nick, because it is time to hit the main straight.
I want that as a shirt. Warm up those jorts.
I don't care how you warm them up because they'll be hot in a minute after we see this racing.
Oh, well, here we go. Race Day in the lead, now overtaken by GSR Edwin as we head into the corner. GSR Edwin taking the inside on the second turn, but it's not enough. Race Day able to reclaim the lead as we head into turn 3. Scarenzi now passing Edwin as we head into the last part of Sector 1. We now have an Aston Martin sitting in 2nd and 4th.
Oh, and it is just getting closer. Aero Racing, Posh Josh, Lancy, all 2/10 of a second behind. Look at this car's. Oh, and Aero Racing, I believe, gets shoved off or just not enough room left. So Posh Josh for now is going to move up into 5th place.
We could see another battle with Posh Josh and Maki. Let's keep an eye on that as Posh is moving in on Maki. They are side to side through the turns. It's Posh, it's Maki. Able to make it out. It's Posh is able to make it out on the other side.
This is insane.
Maki also losing another spot, dropping down to 6th place. Aero Racing dropping back up to 5th. Come on, guys, not making it easy on me. Maki back up to 4th, Posh into 5th, Aero dropping down to 7th, and Lancy moving into 6th. What is going on? We have 2 laps to go in Saudi Arabia. It is complete chaos on the grid.
Scarenzi's now moving up into 1st. And back. These guys, it's lighting up like a stock exchange board here with all these ups and downs.
We do have another caution in Sector 3. Hopefully we can have that driver. Yes, we are good. We're going to finish it out. 2 laps remain here in Jeddah as absolute chaos has fallen on this grid. Lancy Aero Racing going back and forth, swapping spots for 6th.
Oh,
They are nose to nose right now. Aero Racing able to win out that battle. Posh Josh not ready to call this race quits from 5th place. Still looking for DRS to try and make another move on Mackie. And here we go.
Oh, what did we say? We wanted Aston, Haas, Mercedes, Haas, Aston. GSR Edwin finding himself in the middle of this thing.
No one could have predicted this outcome for the final 2 laps of today's race, but boy, what an outcome it is. We have Electric Blade trying to make it, but not able to close that gap on Scavney back in 9th. The action still remains up top here as Maki looking to claw back that half a second with Posh Josh. Only just over 1 lap remains.
And it looks like Race Day starting to make his move on Scarenzi. Edwin also closing in. This could be a three-way battle in the final lap for first place.
Oh, we had Race Day getting so close to Scarenzi there, just 0.2 of a second off.
Scarenzi with fastest lap. Caution flag thrown. Posh Josh fastest lap.
What is happening?
Caution still not cleared.
As we enter the final lap of this race, we
Ferraris.
have both Ferraris spun out on the track. This is not what we want to see. This is horrendous for the Italian team. We are under caution. There is debris on the track. We may see a safety car deployed.
It's cleared up.
Oh my gosh.
It's caution again in Sector 1. All the race leaders are past that though, and they're still now the top 4 all separated by less than 1 second from each other.
Posh Josh, 3/10 under Edwin, trying to get that 3rd place. He could find his way to this podium if he's able to push in these final DRS zones. Will he be able to get past the Mercedes, who has led and fought in the top of this race for the entirety of these 25 laps? He's gonna get close.
Valentine also saying DRS should be activated for just this final lap because it's the 3rd lap after safety car. You can ask for anything.
Here comes Posh through the corners. He's done it! Posh Josh and Race Day sitting both Haas's on top of the grid as we get closer and closer to this finish line. Scarenzi sitting calmly with 1 second over both of the Haas's. What on earth? There's the checkered flag. Scarenzi takes it, followed by Race Day and Posh Josh. GSR Edwin taking 4th and Maki in 5th. What a finish for these Haas, who have been on an absolute tear these final couple of weeks of the 2023 season.
My mom is right. We all need a drink after watching that. You just don't know what to expect, but that was some of the craziest racing I have ever seen. Just an absolute battle for the final 3 laps. And how about Mackie Aero Racing moving up into 5th and 6th under safety, Scarenzi and Race Day going toe-to-toe throughout the entire thing, and Posh Josh being able to slide up into 3rd place.
VTech also completing this race in 7th place following his spin out in lap 1 in Montreal last week. This was one for the highlight reel.
Hopefully going from 15th to 7th place.
Come on. You just don't get that anywhere else. The chat is going wild. All of the drivers sending their GGs to one another. There's not much you can do but take a breath and just know that you're going to have to rewatch this race and figure out what just happened. That had to have been a fever dream for the grid.
I can't imagine what it looked like from their view or how they felt, how their jorts got, and how those felt after racing in that, because that was insane. I know I'm going to be watching that back to back to back. I don't even know what to clip as a highlight. I think everything after the safety car might have to be a separate video.
Honestly, that was the race of all races. If you were here to catch it live, well, I don't want to say you just witnessed history, but you just witnessed a spectacle. I mean, you can't say anything other than wow, looking back at that race.
Here's a final look at the standings. I mean, the fastest laps and everything too, just so crazy. Look at the final times. We have Race Day 1 second, Posh Josh 1.5 second off of the leaderboard. I mean, those guys were so close, 0.4 of a second, and then another 0.4 of a second behind Edwin. I can't wait to see the leaderboards after that. Haas just made big jumps, and so has Aston Martin, though, too. I think they might both jump back over Red Bull.
Just restating, these are the unofficial scores for today's race. The stewards will review any submissions of penalties as we continue on here into the weekend. Racer of the day, who do you give driver of the day to? Do you give it to VTech coming from 15th place up into 7th? Do you give it to Maki or Aero Racing, who predicted or just went out on a limb and were able to capitalize on sheer luck? Or do you go with Posh Josh, who started 7th, able to make it to the podium and get a fastest lap on new softs to boot?
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone that survived got driver of the day, because that was just so tense. Excellent to watch. And we have, 5 more races left?
Yes.
In the season. So it's just going to get even better from here, I think. 128 Valentine, by the way, saying a 128.9 does not take the new record, off by only a 10th.
Come on. It doesn't get any better than that. We have some news from the pit lane. Gott Palmer's Williams appeared to have suffered a puncture in that final lap by contact. Not sure who that contact was with, but we also saw both Ferraris taking a just a heartbreaking turn in the second to last lap, both spinning out. Again, not sure if they made contact with one another. Maybe Gott Palmer was involved in that incident as well, but anytime in real life or in the game, you hate to see both of those Ferraris sporting that brand new beautiful livery sideways on a track.
Yeah, that was just take a breath. Try to fall asleep before Friday going back to work, and then you can sleep the rest of the weekend after watching that. Thankfully, we don't have a real Formula One race to watch through Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Otherwise, I don't think I could take it.
I know what I'm going to be watching on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's a replay of this race right here. I can't wait to see the other drivers' angles that are uploaded. Thank you again to all of our stewards. Thank you to the Commissioner Pork Chops and everyone who makes MidWest eSports Thursday night, F1 night possible. We could not do it. There is an entire team of people behind the scenes doing this just out of the love of their hearts. It's for the love of the sport, for the love of the game. And that is what Nick and Mitch, that's what we are all about on this channel, is highlighting the very best gamers in their own disciplines. It's amazing to watch these artists paint in their own field.
It was crazy. And I think we just have 2 things left before we go. 1, next week, the race will be in Singapore. And 2, we probably have to show off our jorts just as we close out the thing. We can do that at the very end as we switch to thanks for watching.
Beautiful. Well, yes, we will see you here next week, same place, same time, for week 11 on the calendar, taking us to Singapore. You can also join us for our weekly show covering Ubisoft's title, Riders Republic. It's an extreme sports video game. If you haven't seen it yet, give it a look. I know a lot of riders over in the Republic are also F1 fans, and vice versa. That extreme sports, speed, action, all of that kind of tickles the same parts of the brain. But we have a weekly episode on that game as well. It comes out every Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on everything that's going on here at Nick and Mitch, including the final Jorts send-off. So here we go. You can't say your name without Jorts on cam. Until next week, I'm Nick.
And I'm Mitch.
And we'll see yous back for week 11 in Singapore. Have a great night.